I'm Dr. Chris Parker, and today what we're going to do is create an infographic. Not just any infographic, we're going to look at an infographic comparing women from the UK and China. If you subscribe to this channel, you have seen quite a few videos recently about data analysis, looking at differences in body type and fitness, and that's all been leading up to this video. So look in the description below, check the videos out, and you'll see how I've turned some 3D body scans into this data. So let's have a look at this. This is what we're going to create. It's a very simple infographic looking at difference in being overweight, difference in body sizes, looking at levels of body fat and health, weight, and mortality. Now, if you're looking very closely, you'll see that I've actually not looked at all this data in my previous videos. I've had to cheat a bit. In fact, what I've done is I've gone ahead and put together a information sheet. This is linked in the description below via Figshare, as is the infographic. So if you want to go over there and check that out, you can download and see all the data behind it. But this is some basic research that I've done to produce the infographic. Because the first thing you always do is do your research, find things out. You can see that the text in red is going directly onto the sheet, and everything in black is just supporting it. So I've done some stats, look at difference in body measurements. I've looked at percentage of population who are overweight or whatever according to data we looked at, and also done some extra research into what the nation's saying is life expectancy, what's the average weight, what's the mortality, and pulled all this together into this visual. I've also created these nice little illustrations to help make things look pretty appeasing. What we're going to do today in the video is create as many parts of this infographic as we can. So we're going to focus on creating pie charts, going to create images of the bodies which are the same size. Then we're going to look at creating bar charts and also figures which are different sizes. The important thing about these figures is not just that they look different, but the proportions are the sizes are larger and smaller depending on the actual numbers. So the portion size of this woman, who's 79, to the one on the right, 72, is proportional to their age. Same thing with the weight. It's not just big or small, it actually represents the numbers. Obviously by charts, it must represent the numbers. So how do we use that? Let's get going and start creating this tool. So over to, where are we? We're over here in Illustrator. So let's look at this. What I've done is I've created an artboard in the typical size of an infographic, which is 600 pixels wide and 1,800 pixels in height. You can do other sizes, but this works really, really well on Facebook. I've also divided everything up into squares. So we see we've got 3 columns there, equal sizes, and that just sort of carries on cascading down to the bottom. So it's nicely well divided, and we're going to use this to help create our infographic. Now if we go back to our design we've got, which is over here, you'll see that everything's broken up into even sections. So we have a title, we have a header, we have an initial stat to get us in, and then we go into the body. So the first 2 sections are one group of 3 big pieces, then the body size, the health, life expectancy is all 2 pieces, and then finally referencing the data is 1 piece. So everything fits in really nicely with a bit of symmetry, and also when you look at the page, everything fits on a really good way through a computer screen, but at the same time, if you want to, you can see the above and below peeking through, tell you something else there. So this is a size I use all the time. So let's get on to this. Let's start by making the sections. So I'm just going to go ahead and take the rectangle tool and just draw out a rectangle. It doesn't really matter about the size, really, because we're going to deal with that in a minute. And by the way, I've got a bleed on around the edge because I always like to go over the edge for bleed. It just helps keep things neat. You'll notice that the edges of the circle are rounded. Really easy to sort this out. We can just click on our square. Actually, I'm going to leave them like that because it doesn't actually make a difference for this. So yeah, because we're going to bleed, it doesn't make a difference. There's something about Bob Ross, has mistakes. I'm going to give this a random colour, just yellow, hold down Alt key, pull it down and give this one a different colour, make it pink. Doesn't matter about the colours for now. Draw out a rectangle for both, get rid of the strokes. There's no line between the colours. And I'm just going to carry on this pattern for the next few pieces. Now, right now, all I'm doing is trying to rough out where things are. So we'll see here that I need to just align everything nicely. Yeah, that's good. Just press Alt key, pull this down, click it in place, and make this one pink. Do that again for that lower section. Yeah, is that nicely aligned? Yeah, that's looking good. And finally, oops, take this pink one down from the bottom, just like that, and pull that to there. So I've just very quickly broken this down into sections. The colours really don't matter, and I'll show you why in a second. The colour scheme I want to create is going to be very complementary. So we've got these two characters here, and I need the background colours to be complementary to the clothes they're wearing. Actually, the blue of her legs, just because blue's a nice colour. So let's get these images in place and then start creating a colour scheme from that. So File, Place, and then what I want to do is I want to navigate to where I've got the file stored. Now I know this is a module I've been teaching recently, so I can just go into Workshop 2, there we are, Workshop Files, and I've got an Assets file. So because of copyright reasons I can't share this online. I'm really sorry about that, guys, but you can just find any assets and play along with this. So if I just click Assets and then click Place, I see one image and I can place it, and that's all well and good, but that's not really what things are showing. Because if I open up the Assets file, as just opening up right now, you'll see a different story. There are a lot of pictures on here. I've created all these together and put them in one place, so I only have to think about one source of information. And I want all these pictures in. So how do I do that? Answer is really simple. Let's go back onto here, delete her face, go to File and then Place. Once again, I select the Assets file where all my images sit on a different artboard each, and then I click Show Import Options. I'm also going to click Link. Link is really important because if I go and update my asset sheet, so change the eye color, the hair color, or wherever it is, then all the images in my infographic, they also update. This saves me a lot of time. So imagine my boss walks in and says that what I've done isn't quite right, I've got to change the hair color or something. Rather than going into every single document and changing every single image, I just change one and then everything updates for me. So it's really, really good. So let's go and click Place. So this window appears. It says I crop to the art, which is the actual images. I'm really happy with that. And then I say, which image I want to place in. So really, really easy. So I'm going to want to put this woman's head first. So click OK. And let's go and put her just here. For now, I'm just going to drop and drag. And I'm just going to do this again. So everything is selected, Assets, Place. Now I select the other woman. Just drop her head in. And then I'm going to go through and just do it for the rest of them. So I'm going to, carry on. If you want to skip this part, then it won't be too upset. But it's just really good to see how it's done. Now, you'll see that as I'm placing these on the page, I'm taking a little bit of notice of the guides. Now, really basic rule of thirds says that break everything into thirds, it looks quite nice. So you'll see that these women placed roughly about the same place on each of the page, gives it a nice bit of balance. What goes next? Have a look, what's the next asset that we're going to be dropping in? It's going to be a weight. Now I only put one weight in here, you'll see why in a few minutes. But I want both flags, so let's go and get those flags. Place, UK flag, not worrying about size, really doesn't matter for now. Let's go for the Chinese flag. And I believe the next one should be some old women. Let's go and have a look what we find. If my memory serves me right. Yes, it's a woman with a cat. I'm going to place her again. nicely on the guideline, cutting every page up into thirds. Let's put a last woman in there. He's going to be a Chinese woman with a dog. Okay, there we are. So that's our basic images placed on the screen. I said not really worried about placement. I'm going to play with that stuff in a few minutes. So first thing I want to do is create a color scheme which complements this woman's trousers. So how do I do that? First thing I want to do is open up my Swatches panel. If I haven't got that open, I can just go Windows, Swatches, bring it over here. And I like to just go ahead and delete everything apart from black and white. And you'll see why I'm doing this in a minute. I'm going to create a new folder just because I like, new folder, not new color. Because I like keeping everything nice and together. So I'm going to call this Infographic. And I'm going to go through and sample the key colors. Now, in this case, the key colors are the light blue of her leg. So using the eyedropper tool on the left, just press I, or just see it there. Click on her blue. The swatch on the left goes blue, so we know it's selected. Select our folder, click the new swatch icon, leave that as whatever it's called, don't really change the name. And there we are, it's now in our swatches. Do the same for the dark blue, and insert that there. So it's now two swatches. Panning over to the right, the way I do panning is hold down spacebar and just it turns my hand to move around. Let's pick that red from her top, okay. And then pick the dark red from her top and drop it in there. So those are the 4 key colours of our infographic, but I need to have 2 other blues for the background, because if you look at what we have here, we have a very light blue and a sort of medium blue. So how do we get that? There's lots of ways you can do this. This is one trick that I like to use, which is take the eyedropper tool again, choose a colour. In this case, it's going to be the blue, the light blue from her legs. And I'm going to double click on the swatch. It opens this little picker. And I imagine a line between where it's been located and the pure white. So I go about halfway and click OK. That gives me a light tone. Just add this to our swatches. Then without changing anything else, I double click back on that swatch and I go halfway again. So this gives me a nice 2-tone blue effect. So I've now got 4 blues and 2 reds to use as my palette. And you'll see that these colours work very nicely. So I'm just going to go ahead and start changing the colours of my background. If I start off with I believe it's a light blue for the top. So that's new light blue. Then I go into sort of darker blue. Then alternate between lighter blue and darker blue. So that's giving a nice uniformity. Now you'll notice, if you look very carefully at the colours, not only am I basing the background colours on that woman's blue, but the colours of this woman's jacket are the same 2 blues as the woman's jeans above. And the colours of this woman's blouse and skirt are the same colours as this woman's shirt and shorts. The reason for this is something called the Kosoul Principle, which is when you have colours that look the same or are very similar, you will associate things as being together. So you can say that even though these 2 women look nothing alike apart from the colour, you'll go, oh, that woman on the right must be something to do with that woman up there because they've got the same colours. Similarly, the blues, the dark blue on her trousers, so the blue on her trousers and the UK blue is the same. The red of the Chinese flag and the red of her top is the same red. So we can infer that the woman in red is Chinese and the woman in blue is British. So a few simple things to keep things going. Also, objects that are aligned or closely together or near each other, you associate it as being together. So all the white woman is on the left, aligned with the left-hand centre, left-hand box, and all the Chinese women's on the right. So again, you're doing that. So that's our basic placement. We've got our basic colour scheme. Let's go and create some scales. So I want to do the first part talking about the bodies being different. Now, The heights are the same, so I want these two images to be the same size women. You'll notice that the hairlines are different, so if we just go and make them the same size, it won't really work. The Asian woman on the right will appear a bit shorter just because her hair isn't quite as large. So let's get around that. So I'm going to start off by selecting my white woman and just increasing her size to the point where I'm happy with how she is for the infographic. And I'm going to go for about there's good. Now you give some landmarks to align everything to. So I'm going to pull down a guideline going through her eyes, pull down a guideline to go through, pull down, go through her heel. Now if you can't see the guidelines, you want to go to View, then Rulers, then either Show Rulers, make sure that's present. Then you just pull down from the top. So from there, just left click and drag down. Anyhow, we now have two markers for which this woman on the right must align. So hold down Shift, it'll make sure everything increases in size proportionately. I'm trying to align her eyes and her feet with the woman on the side. So a little bit more on the feet. That's about right, maybe a little bit taller. There we are. So slightly up, but then eye difference is there, where it is. So you can see this way, these women appear the same height, even though their body parts different scales, sizes, and her hair, as you can see, pulling it out of where I wanted to be. That's an advanced skill. If we just pull down a marker there, we can see quite a difference between the top of her head and top of the Asian woman's head. So there we are, we can go forward and start adding some text as so. These lines are created really simply with the pen tool, so I'll show you just one from the waist. Press P, or on the left hand side choose the pen tool, click somewhere, hold down Shift and it locks out at either 90 degrees or 45. Go out a certain degree, go along and click. You'll see it fills in because we've got the fill selected as a colour and the stroke is 0. Let's change that, get rid of the fill and choose black for stroke. Click on the stroke, gives us options for arrowheads. I want the initial arrowhead to be like a dot. There we are. And there we are, we've just now drawn one of those funky little lines. If we want to add text, we press T for text, or just let's select from the side here, and we can draw a marquee out and just write something. But there's lots of videos about putting text on. I won't waste time today. But that is just making something proportionally the same. What about when things are proportionately different? So we want to represent the mortality of the two women in China and UK through their height. You'll see in the example, I've done this here. This woman is 79, is taller than one is 72. How do we do that? Really simple. The first step is actually the same as we did previously. We take this woman here, and I'm going to keep her the same size as she is right now just to make things easy. So I'm going to pull down to her eyes, pull down to her feet, and actually this woman on the right is almost right to begin with, so let's make her a little bit bigger. Yep, I'm now happy with that. They're both the same size. So we need to scale this. Scale her to 79 and the woman on the right to 72. We do this through Object, Transform, Scale. So by default, it's saying 100% uniform, which is in all directions, just as it's dropped in. I want to change that to be 79. So click OK. You'll see that she is proportionately smaller to 79% of her original. Take the woman on the right, Object, Transform, Scale, but I'm doing 72, which is a number. So proportionately, she's 72%. This way, the physical bodies represent the actual people. So I can now move woman down to the bottom, so her feet's resting on the line. Take the other woman, do the same. So they're nicely aligned. Hold on Shift, select both, right click and group. They're now tied together, and I can start, excuse me, and I can start to expand them. Hold down Shift, it locks dimensions together, and I can make them bigger. Align them nicely, that's about right. So there we are. We've now got two women whose size represent the number. I can then go forward and start adding the numbers, so 772. The way I'd do that is quite simple. On the drop down here, I would choose Ellipse tool, hold down Shift, just draw a circle, have the center being white, have the outside being the color, so maybe blue, make the stroke really thick, then once again press T, draw a marquee, 79, select that, let's make it nice and big, so size 50, can then just resize that, and I can just go ahead and place this, but that's another thing. The way I'll do the anvils, which I'm not going to do for today, is exactly the same way. I would, actually, I will show you really, really quickly. So I'm going to take the UK flag and just put this, put it there, make it nice and easy. Take the Chinese flag and resize so it's about the same. And you're overlapping them so that these two are the same. Oops. So the bottom is about right. We're not going to be too accurate with this. So we've got there we go. That's close enough for what I need. The same size flags. So I'm going to go and select all three areas. So UK flag, Chinese flag, and the weight. I'm going to press Alt and drag to copy. Then on the left side, I'm going to get rid of the Chinese flag. On the right side, select the UK flag, press Return to delete. Then I can select both these two, group them, both these two, the anvil and the Chinese flag, group them. And then I can see that 62 kilos, 54 kilos. So first group, we're going to scale to 62%. One on the right, object transform scale 52. And take these, align them roughly at the base. There we are. Select both, group, and there we are. So we've now made images for the average weight of Chinese and UK women, and it all works proportionally perfectly. We can carry on doing this for more countries or more people. Just do scale for 100% to represent your whole number. On that note, let's get some work in here about levels of fitness. So how do we make this bar chart? Really, really easy. Let's go through that. So I'm going to just shrink this down to be in the bottom half and show you how to create the bars as we see here. So Illustrator does have a built-in bar charts and snapped column tool. I like using that. I prefer to be able to get in there and start doing it by my own hands. So the first thing I want to do is create a center line. So drag from the left-hand side to the very center. I know that the whole thing is 600 wide, so 300 pixels, just drop it there. Then I take my rectangle tool, and in this case it's rounded rectangle, doesn't really matter. And we can just place that nicely done there. Now I'm going to make this go dark red. Then I'm going to select it, press Alt, pull it down. And I'm going to make this light red. So you can start to see where this is going. If you look on the example, the light red gives me 38% and the top is 100%. So what we do is we want to transform, but we don't just transform the same as before. So we select the bottom one, Object Transform Scale. This time we choose non-uniform. So we can know that vertical is the height and horizontal is the width. So vertical we keep at 100%, which is we don't want that moving at all. Keep it where it is. So that one. But the horizontal, we want to change that to 32. So just select this, 32, click OK, and there we have a little stub. And take that and just overlay it on the top there. We can also take the tools, so Windows, there we go, Windows Align, select both of our options using the Shift key, and then Align Left, and then Align Center. Pulls everything together. So you'll see that we now have that represents 38%. Actually, that's 32, it should be 38, but never mind. You can carry on doing this. You see that after doing this 8 times, you'll have made all your bars in the right place. So just keep on doing that. You're using non-uniform scale to produce a bar chart. Really useful tool. So the final thing I'm going to show you is how to produce these pie charts. These are actually called donut charts because you're only showing one thing cut into section, and everyone loves donuts. So let's go ahead and make a donut chart. So the first thing I'll do is go and create a nice circle. So use the ellipse tool, press L, and just hold on Shift and draw out a circle. It doesn't really matter what color it is for now, we're going to change that later on. And then we want to work out what we're doing. So I'm going to go for, the Chinese one, 6%. So how do I get 6%? Firstly, press P or select the pen tool from the side, hover around the center of the circle, and it will just snap there. If it's not snapping, then you go to View, you've got guides and snaps, and smart guides is what you want to be turned on. If smart guides are turned off, it won't work, but just turn it on. So I've got my pen tool, go to the center, it snaps to the center, press Shift, and go straight the way up, all the way. There we go. Now if I select the line, I want to get rid of the fill, give it a nice black stroke. Then I want to rotate this round by a certain amount. Now the amount I want to rotate round is 6% of a circle. Now we can do some really quick maths. So let's go 360 times 0.06 equals 21.6 degrees. Really easy. So there's different ways you can do this. We could do options, transform, rotate, and get a really accurate way of doing this. There's different ways. So we can take the rotate tool, we can just click at the base, make it rotate around there, put transform, rotate, 21.6, okay. And you see what's done there? It's rotated around the center. So I'm going to undo that and carry on what I did before, which is our tool. By clicking at the end first, the point where it rotates around is the end of the line, the very end. And just pull this around, you'll see that as I'm pulling, it's giving numbers. So I'm going to go roughly right, 21.7, that's good enough for me. Finish off by pressing P again, clicking at the center, hold down Shift, go all the way up. So I've created a slice, it's like a little triangle. So how do I turn this into a donut chart? Really simple. I need what's called the Pathfinder tool. So Windows, Pathfinder, and I'm going to pull this out, just make life nice and easy. And then you need to select both the circle and our triangle. So hold down Shift, make sure that both are selected. There's many options you can use Pathfinder, and this could be a whole video on each one. I'm just going to use this one here called Divide. And that divides the background shape up with what is in front. So I'm going to click that, and you'll see that the line disappears. We've got 2 faint blue lines. That tells me that we've sliced that circle into 2 different shapes. Let's have a look at those shapes. If I double click here, I can select 2. And here I can select 2. I can make that one dark red. Then the outside one I can make blue. No, I can make black. I'm going to go for light red. No. Then click on the back arrow there to get out of isolation mode. We've got little slice taken out. That's just your pie chart. To turn this into a donut chart, really excited, take the ellipse tool again, so press L or choose from the side, hold down Shift and draw out just another circle. This time I want to make it white. And I want to align that exactly. So open the alignment tool, just it there, select both my big circle and the small one, and on the bottom part here I say align to key object. A dark blue line appears around the white one, so that's selected that as the key object. I don't want that. I want the big one to be the key object, and you'll see why in a second. So all I do is click there, so yep, got that selected, and then I choose align. So center and center, 2 vertical and horizontal centers. And what we've done here is we're aligning the white circle with the large red one. So that is perfect for what I want. And then I can just click out. So that is my donut chart. So you see that if I compare it done here to done there, it's the same. Yep, the colour's different. I've got a grey here rather than a red, but you can play with colours. So there we are, some fundamentals of infographic design. I've not gone over typography. There's many videos in the channel. If you just play this for this one, you'll find them very easily. So created a pie chart, we've inserted images, we've created a background, created complementary screens, we've adjusted images to be the same height, we've played with both uniform and non-uniform scales to show things like bar charts, we've made little weight things, and we've shown non-uniform scaling of people. And there we go, that's it for today. So if you'd use these skills, creating something like this is not too far from. All you've got to do is a bit more alignment and just using the text tool, just place things on, and you'll have absolutely no problem at all. Hope this helped, and good luck with all your illustrations.